It's Sunday, and this is your weekly dose of Single Sundays. That's right, it is already Sunday, so we get to go over your weekly dose of Single Sundays. So what does that mean? Well, that means we go over the singles that we ended up picking up this week and break them down and go into the poll, add stuff to the poll, take stuff from the poll, and define what a poll is. This is going to be all of that dropped into your dose of Single Sundays. And if this is your first time watching this, why don't you join over and be able to pick this up and get this as your weekly dose of the Single Sundays. This goes over the single issues that we ended up picking up throughout the week when we ended up going over and picking up our poll list. So with that said, let's immediately jump in and go with the flyers that we picked up this week. This flyer is going to be pretty commonly picked up, and it had many different story sets inside it. What's this flyer? This is Spider-Man Superman #1. It's over by Brett Melcher, and I believe Pepper LaRosse is on art. Amazing. And Wilson. And then you have story sets in here. You have some big hitters that's inside this. Not just Marvel, not just DC. It's a good combinations. You have Dan Slott. You have Jeff Johns, Gary Frank. You have Stephanie Phillips. You have the classic Bendis and Pacelli back together for another Miles story. If you don't know that, following the Ultimate Spider-Man, where you ended up, well, get in that because you have Miles. So those are the people that ended up bringing Miles around. It's a solid pickup. A few of the stories I didn't care for, such as, sadly, the Bendis story. I did love the main story, though. The main story was a banger. That's definitely A1 to be able to pick up and be able to read. I love how they ended up connecting with one another. And you see that there are some parallels between Spider-Man and Superman. Other stories were pretty all right, and it's definitely a solid pickup. All right, so that covers our flyers that we have this week. But now we dive into our poll list, and we rank our poll list. How many books do we have this week? We have 4 books altogether. So before we dive in and start ranking them and try breaking them down real quick, let's tell you what a poll list is. A poll list is where you could go to a local comic book shop, or you can end up going to a digital comic book shop. Either way, it's a comic book shop, where you can be putting down a list of books that you want to be picking up to make sure that you end up getting. It's a great way to be able to guarantee to get your books that you're looking for. That way you can make sure that you don't have to be having the, oh, dang it moment when you go over there and check for their shelves for that certain book. It's also a guaranteed way for the stores to be able to sell a book. And sometimes you get lucky where the other stores end up offering you a little bit discount if you buy those. It's a nice solid way to have a solid sale for them, and it's a nice solid way to make sure that you grow the collection how you want to end up growing it. All right, with that said, let's dive in. So, coming in at number 4, we have Absolute Wonder Woman, issue number 19. We have more development. We find out about, well, Diana's younger days. And we ended up getting more of a history and get that fleshed out. It's a good, solid pickup. And to be completely honest, all the books on this week's poll list was pretty solid as well. Definitely something I would suggest to be able to grab, especially if you keep on wondering about the background of Diana. And it was a nice, solid way to go over with that. Coming in at number 3, it's going to be Captain America, issue number 9. By Chip Zdarsky. So this is the Doom Shadow Part 4. At the very end of this ends up having a pretty good, shocking setup that you end up seeing that goes over with that. If you don't know, Doom's gone, Latveria is in turmoil, and Captain America ended up finding out something that ends up trying to get the Latvian to stand up for their own country. Solid pickup, solid read, and I'm loving what's going on. It's going to be a good way to go over with it, and like it says, Armageddon assembles in a couple months, so I wonder what Chip's event is going to end up being. Alright, coming in at number 2, it's going to be issue number 3 of Mark Spector, Moon Knight. by Jeb McKay. So this is another story that we end up getting more stuff going on. A lot of action. There's a lot of action because, well, we're facing Bushmaster. And what's going on? What chaos? What disorder is going to be coming over with this? Well, all I'm going to say is that if you're a Moon Knight fan, you're going to be pretty happy with the moments that you end up having. Nice solid pickup, nice solid story, and I love evidently saying solid. Isn't that just solid? Okay, number one book is also a number one book. So that really limits what we end up having. What are we having? Well, we have issue number 1 of Thunderhawks. That's right, this is book 3 in the event that we end up having of Thundercats X Silverhawks. I don't know why they went with X, but that's what they did. We end up getting development, figuring out what's happening with the Silverhawks, and how we ended up getting a combination of both Thunderhawks, or not Thunderhawks, Thundercats, and Silverhawks. Hence, or Thunderhawks. Whew, that's a lot of hawkage. Either way, it was a nice solid story that goes along with it. And stay tuned. Next week, I believe we're going to have a story breakdown of all 3 different issues. That's right, we're going to have the issue number 1 of Thundercats X Silverhawks, Mumra the Ever Living, and Thunderhawks. That's going to be more spoilers, but I have to say, I love this story, and we're going to end up seeing more spoilers with that, so I don't want to go too far in depth with that. So, this week, I do have an announcement that goes on with it. With Ultimate Wolverine and Ultimate Spider-Man finishing up, we ended up dropping those from the pull list. That's a normal thing because obviously they have no more issues coming over. But we added 1 book. What did we add? We added Kelly Thompson's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've been loving what Kelly Thompson ends up putting over. I love, obviously, Absolute Wonder Woman. I loved her Black Widow. And I love It's Jeff. So I figure it's one of those few times I'm going to take a little dodge my normal rules of going 3 issues in and then trying it, because it's coming from Dynamite. So that's also another limiting factor. And my comic book shop might not end up having a copy, and I don't want to take a risk on missing that. So that's why I'm adding that to the pull list. And like I said, I love everything that I've read of Kelly Thompson so far. So, with that going on, I would like to ask you, what have you read from Kelly Thompson and what did you love? Put it down in the comments down below. So, that is your weekly dose of Single Sundays. That wraps up everything that we ended up picking up, the additions that we added, the stuff that ended up dropping off, and the classic ranking of what we ended up picking up on our pull list. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bear in mind, have fun. And until next time, we'll see you later.